And because you spoke of mother and child, it reminded me, mother and daughter, it reminded me something Jean-Luc said yesterday, and I forgot to ask him a question. When I saw Ozu's film, it seemed normal to me that as a man, the male character of almost all his films is a sort of mysterious guy, because probably for Ozu he is a little bit him, because he is always the man from the beginning to the end, you know, from silent film to the last film. And so to have father and daughter, I guess it was a normal situation for him, and he went very far in that situation, almost close to incest, as said Jean-Luc, because the young actress, I think, I heard, it was written, Ozu was very much in love with her, but for a reason I ignore, he never married her, he always stayed with his mother, you know. And me, being a woman, the experience of dreaming me as a father of someone is not possible. I could maybe dream as the daughter of someone. And I realized when I was asked many times, why did not I make a film about mother and daughter, I said something that was true. It's because it was inspired by Ozu, inspired by my grandfather and my own mother. But also I think inside that, what is really strong is that a man and a young woman, father and daughter, at a certain moment, they do not have intimacy anymore. If I was speaking about the long corridor, you know. Mm-hmm. Even with the long corridor, even if there is no incest, you understand, when she was a baby or a little girl, he could give her a bath, take care of her, and at a certain age, this was finished. When mother and daughter, and also mother and son, a mother has she has sort of secret permission to have access to the body of her children at any age, you know, not a father. I don't mean I walk naked in front of my mother just because she's not, no. But I think morally she has a sort of permission.
Yeah.
My mother can still touch me in a way that my father would never do. Or did, because now he's dead. You know? And I think this is why something unspoken between a father and a daughter is always there somewhere. Between a mother and a daughter, everything can be said in words, even the worst horrible thing, even if it never happened, there is a possibility for it to happen, you know? a mother has a special access to children that a father never have. That's why, in a way, although I was inspired by Ozu and the story of my grandfather and mother, there was also in my mind something unspoken that I like. The sort of separation of the bodies forever, you know?
Mm-hmm. Maybe because at one point the two bodies were one between a mother and a child, but the other body is not so separate. So touching it isn't as though you're crossing any kind of boundary. The little father, the two bodies were never one. So there is a boundary there that's
Of course. No, of course. And also because cultural thing is a father could have children with his daughter, and of course it's a taboo,
right.
and it exists
Mm-hmm.
in almost every society, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it exists, of course the mother, yeah, she was once with her children, but I think it's slightly different what probably in fact you can say. It's also there are borders there, but maybe she owns something, she believes she owns something,
Mm-hmm.
a sort of, she has an extra privacy. Yeah. Because me, a child, no, of course, his mother and everything, but he was never a child, remember, he was one with his mother.
Mm-hmm.
Only the mother remember that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So based on that kind of remembrance, she believes that she has special privileges.
Yeah, me, I don't remember, I was one with my mother.
Yeah.
And no one, unless sometimes some people could imagine if you hear a sound with water, then it could be like the voice of your mother when you are in the womb or something like that, you know. You've heard of this treatment of stammering or dyslexia by re-education with the voice of the mother through a wall where liquid is dripping, to recreate a sort of echo of the voice of the mother through the womb.
And that somehow balances the speech.
The doctor who invented that is dead by now. He was Greek. He's very famous still today. His method, I forgot the name. But also people who wanted to learn. He was working because he saw dyslexia was also because we don't hear, as we don't see exactly the same with one eye and in the other, it's the same with ears. So he could rebalance something, you know. What is it? No, the name of the doctor. He invented that method. Yeah, people who have difficulty to pronounce certain letters, he could do re-education. I forgot. I'm sorry. So, I don't know, is there any question you wanted to ask me? Because me, I'm afraid if I say something as a sort of testimony before I go, it will be corny and...
Well, I feel really full.
Well, I do have one question that I just thought of, but I think, as a testimony, for me in this class, I feel like we've had the most engagement with a teacher, and that has been a really positive experience.
Oh,
With the other teachers,
thank you very much, thank you.
It's been really great.
I'm completely unaware of that because I'm so afraid when I come here, because I'm afraid that I might repeat myself, and then the DVD were not there, so I start completely down, Well, in the end, it's good if you find something interesting for you, work, through me, that's good.
Yeah. And it's been fantastic and really wonderful just to be here.
Wow,
And sit in the room.
thanks, thank you.
So, yeah.
Because I'm not a teacher.
Yeah, and that's, we didn't really, we all came to just sort of experience different working professionals, and this has been really just a great introduction to somebody who's a working professional.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
I remember I wanted to tell you something about narration. Now I forgot. Maybe it's not important, but it will. I'm sure it will. No, it was because of your question, Poppy. You said, do you first, before you start a script, do you make a list of, do you describe your character first? You ask a question.
Yes, to get to know them.
So, I have to tell you, I'm always trying to find a method, like make a list of characters, describe the story of each character, where they come from, what kind of job, how, do they have money or not, this kind of thing. And I have my little cards, different colors, blah, 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 all these little tricks to reassure me that I have a method. But the thing that happens is sometimes in the process of following the method, which is more or less an invention, but I think many people have the same, to draw the story, to blah, 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 to make each character exist in itself. I realize what is really strong in working on a script is that there is one point where one scene, you don't expect it, one scene makes you believe that something exists. Maybe it's one scene with only one character, maybe it's one scene with two characters, and that scene is maybe not the opening of the film, it could be somewhere in the end, but suddenly something happened and that is probably come from the effort of working every day and everything, but it's coming like an alien thought and give a sort of a reason for all the rest to be possible, Even in the end, it could be a very tiny scene. When I was working on Trouble Every Day, the script of Trouble Every Day, we had I really started the script with, I knew I wanted Vincent Gallo characters and his young wife to walk in this big hotel, so I chose a location with kilometers of corridors because I wanted to walk with the camera and she's walking and walking and walking and he's feeling her. He's not watching her, he's feeling her, almost smelling her. So for me it was important, and I thought maybe the maid felt it, that he's a maid. So, but already the script, we had more or less a sort of drawing of the story. And but I was really unhappy, as if it didn't exist really, the script was almost finished and I was completely unhappy. And there was a scene where Vincent was escaping the hotel and wandering at night in Paris, the character of Vincent, Mr. Brown, and he was waking up at dawn by the side of the river, and then he bought the little dog. But in my mind, the most important was that it had been raining, and the car parked was covered with little drops of water. It was not raining anymore, and he was walking in the street. The pavement were wet, and it was like 3 a.m, no one in that street. And he could see in one car a couple kissing. And it frightened him because he knew his pulsion could come back, so he was running away from that car. And I filmed that case, and I didn't want to ask 2 people to come at 3 in the night to kiss in a car from 2 extras who don't know each other, so we cast a real couple, so at least they enjoy being in the car and kiss, it was. So they kissed endlessly. We could have shot that, And this scene, tiny scene, was supposed to be at almost the end of the movie. And then I remembered Stuart from Tindersticks came to the editing room one day and he said, because Trouble Every Day is, maybe a song by Frank Zappa. It's an old song. And I told Stuart, of course, Stuart, I like Trouble Every Day for the character of Mr. Brown, interpreted by Vincent Gallo, but it has nothing to do with Frank Zappa's song. Who was Trouble Every Day was in 1965, the downtown black people rebellion in LA. So I told him it has to do with love and sex, and so he read the script. I was shooting, and then I was in the editing room, and he came and he said, well, look, Claire, I've done nothing yet for the music, but we were just starting editing. We were just starting editing in order of the script, the beginning. And in the script opened by the plane scene, when Vincent Gallo is in the plane with his wife, and suddenly he's afraid, he locked himself into the toilet, and he has this vision of blood everywhere. And there is, I remember the scene very well because they both look by the window and they see little light in the black, and they say, oh, it's Denver. It was the light of Denver, and it was made with, we had a black drape and we put little lamps, and we shoot it from in a room like that, and it was Denver. And Vincent said, "Why Denver?" And I said, "I don't know, it's Denver." I tell you it's Denver. I said, okay. Anyway, this was the opening of the film, and I like this opening very much because it meant the film opened with the sound of a Boeing 727, and even the snoring of the people or what the hostess would say was hardly audible. And I like very much this opening. So then Stuart came and said, "I don't know, I wrote this song because suddenly it came to my mind, the word easily, and I wrote this song, and maybe you can use it for the end credit." And the song is called Trouble Every Day. I said, "For the end credit?" And I told him, considering the end of the script, the little drop of blood, I'm not sure I will use a song, But I said nothing, and then I went home and I listened to the song. I was touched, by the word and his voice. So the next day I come back to the editing room, I told my editor, listen to the song. And I said, you know what, I think it's going to be the opening of the film. So I didn't have, I filmed nothing like that to open the film with a song like that, So suddenly I thought, the kiss. Of course, the kiss. So we put the lover in the car and the river bank at night. And then I thought, how strange that I need so much that little scene, nobody knew why. Then even I remember when I was, the production manager told me, are you really sure we need that kiss in the middle of the night? Maybe we could go home early and blah, blah, blah. And do we have to pour water on the car, on the street, and I say, yes. And then it's the opening of the film, it's so strange.
It's a key moment.
It was not a key moment, it's somehow, narration is diluted into a lot of firm method. You say, I will do this, how do I move the plane, and then a little detail comes and changes the complete perspective. And it's true that it's much better this way. I never regret that Stuart wrote the song and etc. etc.
Can you talk about your titles and how you choose them and when they come in the process? Do they come early or late? Or?
For instance, Trouble Every Day was... I was in trouble with that script, and because I was afraid to do such a violent film, and it came like that, Trouble Every Day. And then I remember, I knew that it's not my mind who invented it, but I knew the song by Frank Zappa. Also, I wanted the title to be in English because the main character was an American guy coming to Paris, so I wanted an English title. So it came really like that a morning. Chocolat, my first film, was a completely different thing. It took me 4 years to find the money to make the film and everything. And it was, even before I have 1 page of script, I had the title. Because Chocolat in French is also the brown color, could be skin color, but also in a sort of naive slang, or not naive, old-fashioned slang. Chocolat means to be cheated. Je suis chocolat. You got me, you know? So, really, I had the title much before there was really a script. And I remember my producer wanted me to call the film Home. No, I don't want to call the film Home. It's wrong. Then, the second film was a documentary. The third film was Sans fout la mort. It means no fear, no die, like in Creole, you know, like Creole slang. Not afraid to die. In the Caribbean, it's written on the bus. You know, the bus driver, they wrote things against all odds, you know, so no fear, no die, like, or sans fout la mort, you know, like, then, j'ai pas sommeil, I can't sleep. The script was half written, inspired by a real story of a serial killer in Paris. And I remember a song, a French song, the last two verses was J'ai pas sommeil, I'm not sleepy, Paris s'éveille. It's a rhyme. Paris is waking up. And the film started at dawn when the trash is collected at dawn, you know, like in the song. And you see people that have been in nightclub all night, you know, walking. So I really like that verse. I thought it was good for the film. And then there was something in that title that keeps me awake, really. Like, I can't sleep, or the exact translation should be, I'm not sleepy. It's more like, it was a real story about those two guys who were arrested as serial killer. One of them died from AIDS. I thought, I was really afraid. Something was not sleepy in me. I was awake all the time. Then a film I made then I made documentary, then I made a film for TV, fiction, and it was called US Go Home, because it was what was written on the wall in Paris when, in '68, when de Gaulle didn't want the NATO to stay in France. It was written, young people would grow up. And if you have seen some of the first Godard film, Masculin, Féminin, for instance, it's written everywhere, US Go Home. And even Jean-Pierre Léaud is writing US Go Home on the American ambassador car. But it's like a nice, it's not, it's almost like a song, you know, it has nothing really. Then Nenette and Boni was the name of the two brother and sister, I thought it came really naturally. I don't remember why I thought it sounded like goes well with Marseille, with the city, the south of France. Pagnol, you've heard of Pagnol, this French. He was a French film director, but he was writing play also. He was from Marseille. He often gave name Marius, César, name of the main character to his film. So it was sort of way to say it's from Marseille. Then Beau Travail was a quote, Herman Melville, in French. He was describing the choreography and the harmony in sailing a boat when all the sailors are up and doing this choreography to raise the sail or low down, and it has to be perfect, otherwise they fail, And he was watching that, he was remembering that, because this is when he was old already, and remembering this, and for him it was the beau travail, the beautiful work. So I get that because beau travail was a little bit inspired by Herman Melville, in a way, Then Trouble Every Day, I told you. Friday Night, it's the translation of Vendredi Soir, which was the title of the novel. And then 35 Shots of Rum. I don't know really. This is a title I don't know. I know because we invent a legend.
You did invent it, I want to ask that.
Yeah, we invent a legend, a Creole legend, that you will tell Gabriel at the end about a guy who, in the end, finally drank 35 rum. But it was so boring, the legend we invented, I cut it off. And then everybody wanted to keep the title, so,
Well, we felt
What?
I think we felt the legend, even though we didn't really know the details of it. It was a goal set up earlier, and there's only a time to do it, so that worked for me.
It was boring,
But
I tell you.
But who would survive 35 shots?
Yeah.
That's...
Some people.
Oh my God.
I know some people. I was in Russia 2 weeks ago, and then in South Korea, I can tell you some people, they can really easily, I mean, it's maybe not good for their health, but they can.
But they built their tolerance to it. Okay.
And White Material is an old story. I wrote long time ago a script about ivory smuggling in Tanzania, and the smugglers, they were killing the elephant from a helicopter, and it's true, huh? The helicopter coming from South Africa, they were killing in Tanzania or in Mozambique, they were killing a group of elephants with machine guns from the helicopter, and they had men ready on phone to go and take only and if the elephant is too young, you cannot take the ivory. I mean, it was really terrible. It was really terrible. This is true. And when they were selling ivory, which is not permitted, It was called White Material
Mhm.
by the smugglers. So I kept it for this white family. I don't know, I think nothing else.
I think before we go, I just was wondering what stories inspire you. Are they stories you've heard from people or things that you've read or seen? How do you...
I think at one point there is not one thing. One thing can raise my interest for a day or two, and then I say, okay, maybe I make a note, and then maybe a month or maybe 2 months, I read something in a newspaper, and it raised also my interest. So I can make a note or cut off a piece of newspaper. And then something else comes, maybe the third or the fourth element, and will crystallize things together. Because one idea for me is not enough of a push, you know. I'm too lazy. I need like 2, 3. Then I go. Now you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I do not believe in one.
Right.
I think, oh my God, in 1 week I will detest the story. You know, it must be a sort of confirmation that yes.
Yeah.
Not bad, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So suddenly I can, okay, let's try, you know. And this I do on my own, not with my, it's only after I need someone to work with. Because this I had to be alone. This is, yeah.
To cultivate inspiration.
Yeah, I don't even call it an inspiration. It's a sort of a dreamy situation about one thing and another, and you know, maybe you can call it inspiration, but it doesn't. Inspiration is not dressed like inspiration when it's there. It looks like a newspaper, a cup of tea. It looks like something else, you know, or a phone call.
Right.
Or sometimes I listen to music. I say, wow, yeah, and this idea, all together because of this music, you know. So it doesn't seem to me like, this is inspiration. No. It's very banal.
Yeah.
It's only after you can say, maybe that's inspiration. But beforehand it looks like nothing, you know?
Yeah.
Like your shoes. Sorry. I love your story about shoes. I know what it is to be in Lebanon and to be walking in the street with absolutely no makeup and being a woman and
You don't see that. It's very rare.
and people were looking at me as if I was a dangerous person. Why are you going like that? I'm going to walk around. You think you are going to walk around like that? I mean, what do you mean like that? Like that? You know, meaning with no. I'm joking, but it's almost true.
Yes, it is true. It's
Yeah.
absolutely true. Fashion
But I like it because even during the war, people were really, you know, you don't miss your brushing, Even after the bombing, you're...
Yeah, during the Israeli invasion to Lebanon, we had the best nightlife.
Wow.
Yeah, I was told so many
We
times.
moved from the suburbs of the capital all the way to the mountains, a place just like Saspe, even more touristic. And it was
Party
crazy.
and
It was
party.
crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. The first 15 days I was in London, came back, it was the happening. Because Israel never went up to that area.
Yeah.
It didn't have interest in the Christian areas. So it bombed only the Muslim areas. So we were having fun. Really,
No, I know. You're not the first person to tell me, And I know stories of parties. And I was told.
And they made jokes about what's happening there.
Yeah.
So the women don't wear a hijab?
No.
Not in the Christian area anyway. And even in the Muslim area,
They don't. You don't see it.
Yeah.
No.
Rarely see it.
Yeah, they're more cosmetic.
Maybe only in the Bekaa Valley, in small
Yes,
village.
Small villages.
In the Bekaa Valley where
But then even
you have to
Christians
wear
wear
the veil because
Right.
otherwise you don't get the money. Huh?
Even the Christian ladies wear the hijab in some areas.
Yeah.
Because